More old jokes. Seems like every time I'm introduced these days, I don't know, what is it about me? When Laura asked me to do this, I thought, how am I going to edit the stories? Where do you go? So the first thing that came to my mind was a scene from Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, of course. Now, we all know our good friend Jack White was a consultant on that film, and so everybody assumed that Ron Burgundy was Harold Green. I contend he was a composite of Harold and a guy that I worked with, Mr. Bloom. I based this on a couple of stories. The fight, I was at the fight. That was Bloom and Bob Donnelly. And most importantly, the central theme of that movie, which was the coming of the co-anchor. Right? She knows where this is going. So who was Veronica Corningstone in San Diego television? It was not Laura Buxton, but she has a role in this. The idea was that we were single anchors at Channel 39, and one day they came to us and said, I'm sorry, the research shows that we have to get some women on the set. I said, well, you know, I've worked with co-anchors before. I'd worked with them in Fresno. I'd worked with a couple here in San Diego on the midday show and on the weekends. You know, what a big deal. Bloom freaked. What? So Tom Mitchell said, all right, look, you guys get to help choose who your co-anchors are going to be. So we looked at tons of tapes, and we brought in a bunch of people for interviews, and we're in there for the final day of deciding who's going to work with whom. We'd settled on two candidates, and one was this very nice-looking, very hard-bodied young lady with lots of character. And one was Miss Laura Jean Buxton from Lafayette, Louisiana. And I'm sitting in that meeting going, oh, please God, Bloom, please think with your large head. Actually, I was thinking, please, Bloom, don't think with your large head. And Paul says, I think I'd like to work with Linda. And I went, oh, thank God, I get the funny one. Well, I truly believe that if you look at the plot of Anchorman, that was the Linda Schaefer, Paul Bloom story. I mean, where he becomes the co-anchor and tries to hit on her and this and that. Meanwhile, Laura and I go off and have a fabulous 6 years together. Yeah. It was absolutely the best partnership that I ever had in my professional career on television, bar none. Because not only is she one of the best people in the entire world, I love you dearly, but she was so damn good at her job. We, as you know, you go through times where you're just going onto the set and you're reading scripts. No big deal, not hard to do. Anybody can do that. But when the you-know-what hits the fan, it's really difficult to be sitting next to somebody else if they don't know what the hell they're doing. Never in my life, never in those 6 years, did I ever worry about Laura Buxton. I always worried about myself, never had to worry about her. She was so good, so prepared. People said, oh, you know, they got this image of Laura. She was in Up with People. She was. She was best friends with Glennie Close. She used to call her Glennie. We all thought that was cute. But she was a worker. She prepared. Before election nights, I mean, we'd stay up till 2 in the morning at my place or at her place going over notes so that when the camera went on, she looked like she'd just fallen out of bed and could do this because she could, because she knew what she was doing. She had this image, this public image, as this, you know, the Up with People image. She fostered that quite a lot. We had another name for her in the newsroom. We called her Pigpen. Yeah, our desks were joined. You know, and so occasionally the detritus would sort of flow from her desk onto my desk, and I wouldn't say anything to her because I loved her, but I'd just kind of go like that, and she'd come in and look at me, and she'd give me that little smile, and she'd go, "You're so bleeping anal retentive." Oh, whatever, and she'd sit down and do her job. Well, of course, things blew up after 6 years, as they commonly do in this business, and did a lot more back then, really. It was more of a volatile time. She went to KGTV, who was smart enough to see what Laura really brought to San Diego, and created Inside San Diego with Bill Griffith, and they were outstanding. They were terrific. She went then to KUSI and really started their morning show, and they were the hit in town. They decided at some point that maybe it really wasn't her, and they replaced her with somebody else, and now they're fighting for tenths of rating points in the morning like everybody else. But what's the common theme here? We were successful. Inside San Diego was successful. The KUSI Morning News in its first iteration was very successful because you had somebody that people wanted to watch. People that when they looked into the television set, they saw somebody looking back at them, into their eyes and talking to them. That's Laura Buxton. That's all it is. That's what she brings. It's a rare commodity. She has the ability to connect with people in person, as we all know, but through television, that's so hard. You meet people and you go, God, wouldn't they be good on TV? Then you see them on TV and you go, ooh. You see all these posers on TV now that, you know, they've got every move in the book, but they don't have it. They don't have the connection. It's very hard to do. Laura Buxton has the connection. I'm proud to be your friend. I love you as a friend. I'm very happy to see you joining the club. Laura Buxton.